Sugu, a world of possibilities.
Bienvenue à Sugu Drones.
欢迎来到 Sugu Drones.
Bem-vindo ao Sugu Drones.
Добро пожаловать в Sugu Drones.
Sugu Drones へようこそ.
सुगु ड्रोन्स में आपका स्वागत है.
Bienvenido a Sugu Drones.
Sugu Drones에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Welcome to Sugu Drones. We are excited to be your official training partner in your quest to obtain your Canadian Basic RPAS certification. This lesson will last approximately 35 minutes. It will cover 8 modules. In each module, we will discuss helpful tips and suggestions for you to pass your basic exam. It is important that for the duration of your study that you utilize the suggested links. Although the exam is open book, students are encouraged to review their answers and use the full examination time as you are only allowed to get 12 answers wrong. The small basic exam has 35 multiple choice questions. In the exam, you are allotted 90 minutes. A score of 65% or higher is required to pass, which roughly allows you 2 minutes and 57 seconds per question. Students who attempt to write their basic exam are reminded to govern their time and prepare to skip and return to questions they do not understand. Time management is crucial in this exam. If you are unaware of a question and/or its answer after searching through your study material or online reference links, use the process of elimination and do not guess. The basic exam can easily be passed by using our online reference links and study guide, which can be purchased for a small nominal fee at www.sugutools.com or by visiting our links in our description. This is a reminder for students who wish to obtain their advanced certification that we suggest you process only after completing your basic certification. This allows you to understand the user interface of the Transport Canada examination portal. For students interested in proceeding to the Advanced Exam Post Basic Certification, please search input the following into the YouTube search key: Study Guide for the 2019 Transport Canada Drone Pilot Advanced Exam. Furthermore, we also recommend students who wish to progress through advanced training that they visit www.sugudrones.com and select the Courses tab for applicable options. Furthermore, if you wish to obtain equipment such as drones, pilot supplies, and safety supplies such as pylons, safety vest, and more, visit sugutools.com. Additionally, be sure to visit our Digital Downloads tab on www.sugutools.com, as we will provide recommended apps and software to use. For updates on our videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. This message will be followed by a brief summary in French.
Bienvenue à Sugu Drones. Nous sommes ravis de vous accueillir. Cette leçon durera environ 35 minutes et couvrira 8 modules axés sur l'examen des opérations de base.
Hi, my name is Leah. I'm from Sugu Drones. We were ecstatic when Transport Canada launched the new certification requirements for basic and advanced operators. In our quest to provide you greater access to tools and supportive tips, we have put together a series of study guides for your basic, advanced exam, and your flight review, which can be purchased for a small nominal fee. Be sure to stay on our channel and keep watching. We also have a great application called Sugu Pilot, which is great for airspace identification, operator logs, and general operator compliance. If you wish to stay compliant with the law every time you fly, Sugu Pilot is a great asset to have for regulatory compliance. Furthermore, we will be posting a series of supplementary videos. As you progress through your certification journey, be sure to also network at CanadianDronePilots.ca for up-to-date tips on government regulations. Throughout this presentation, we will be referring to Sugu Pilot, our regulatory compliance and flight planning app. Our app will allow you to utilize your drone with an automated or manual workflow for basic or advanced operations. Additionally, Sugu Pilot offers a simple-to-use drone flight interface when manually flying for your flight test. Once you have passed your flight test, our app is also great for commercial projects. Remember to select your industry type and then followed by your applicable survey type, and you will be on your way. Additionally, I thought I would advise you that we also have a 4-day in-person advanced certification course. This class is an accelerated course which culminates with your flight review on the final day. Transport Canada recommends all drone pilots to attend ground school. We additionally reserve a 5th date for remote sensing, GIS, and how to process your data. If you're interested in our advanced pilot certification and our other course offerings, such as public safety, inspections, and real estate, please call 1-888-FLY-SUGU or 1-888-359-7848, and let's get talking. If you would like to email us direct, please contact customercare@sugu.ca. If you're looking to save a bit of time, energy, and become more knowledgeable in the study process, or receive discounts on your flight review, join us. So let's get to discussing the new regulations for both exams. From there, we will move to exclusively talking about the basic exam. So here we begin. Both exams are open book, which means any study material you obtain, you are free to reference it. The key caveat is you are not able to receive any outside help when you write the exam. In addition, you are not allowed to copy any portion of the exam. Furthermore, both the advanced and basic exams are online. So for those previous pilots or current manned fixed winged pilots who are watching this, you won't have to visit a Transport Canada regional office to write your basic or advanced exam. For anyone just getting into droning or with previous experience, you can now write your exam from the comfort of your own home, or if you decide to take our on-site course, you can do it at our facility. The benefit of doing our in-person class is you get 25 plus hours of focused training, which culminates with your certification. Visit our link description below to learn more about our in-person or online training classes. In diving deeper into the basic exam, the exam is 90 minutes with 35 multiple choice questions, which roughly allows 2 minutes and 57 seconds per question. A passing exam grade of 65% is required, which means you have to get 23 questions right, or only 12 questions wrong, in order to pass. So be sure to keep a tally of your personal stats while you're writing your exam. This is very important. Each exam attempt is $10, and you can write the exam multiple times until you pass. The only thing is, you must wait 24 hours every time you fail. But let's not talk about that F word. Let's keep it positive. With 1 hour and a half or 90 minutes, there is plenty of time to review your answers. So take your time and don't rush. Most of our students complete the basic exam in between 50 to 60 minutes. So this leaves you with an additional 30 to 40 minutes to review. One thing we find awesome when you complete the exam is you're given your results immediately. Now, this will feel very different when you're actually in the exam and click finish, as there is about a 2 to 3 second lag depending on your internet speed before you find out your results, which will feel like an excruciating eternity. But once you get your results, you'll feel great. Hey, and don't forget to do your happy dance. After you complete the exam, you are provided the knowledge area references that Transport Canada advises you to study. You are not actually given the answers, but are provided descriptions of what areas you got wrong. Furthermore, if you do not pass, make sure you review. So that means review our video study guide notes and dissect each reference area. By simply glancing and reading through this video will not garner you a pass. You have to be prepared and read all the necessary material that we provide, plus do supplementary reading prior to sitting through the exam. Transport Canada has an answer bank of 3,000 plus questions and counting, so don't expect to see the same questions each time if you do not pass. Some tips while writing this exam include making a list of questions you are uncertain of and a list of questions you don't know. This will help you. If you ever get stuck, you can come back to these questions later. Furthermore, Google can be utilized as a last resort if you're ever in doubt. This can be done by taking your multiple choice answer and then matching it with your question to verify the answer is indeed correct in correspondence with the question in Google. Now, there are many people who will tell you to use Google for a sole reference for a knowledge area, but contrary to popular belief, Google is not always the best method that will yield the maximum results for the Transport Canada exam. If you seek to gauge your knowledge before you write your exam, we have a practice exam located in our link description. In this short lesson, we will provide mechanisms to fact check as well as study guide references. Our reference guides, plus additional adjoining sites, are where you want to pull the information from. Our recommended ground school kit comes with the essentials to pass your exam in reference to our slides. If you're on a budget, check out the links in our description. Our study guide can be purchased for a small nominal fee. Don't forget to download our app Sugu Pilot. It is available for a small nominal fee. It's a great arsenal to have in the toolkit for over-operator compliance. As a reminder, we also have monthly in-person training dates. We also offer monthly specials, so be sure to ask for more information at customercare@sugu.ca or request live chat assistance in our link description. Lastly, be sure to check out our video references and basic study guide references for knowledge study areas and where this information can be found. I would like to stress there is a lot of information to cover prior to you writing this exam. For those of you who are indoor flyers, the Transport Canada regulations do not apply while you are operating your RPAS or drone inside. As an advisory, over 50% of the exam covers a broad reference to aviation terminology. So, some of you may be upset and say, how did Transport Canada miss the boat? This has nothing to do with drones. The reasoning behind this from Transport Canada is that drones are considered airplanes. Thus, they must be respected in the same light. They produce lift in the same way and operate in the same airspace. Thus, you must follow air law, air traffic rules, and procedures. Now, there may be a few questions which you may feel that have no relevance, but there is good news. Transport Canada is actively working on the exam questions. Also, I would like to mention Sugu Drones is here for you. As part of our reference guides and external links, we will be providing you a set of 5 documents which we suggest referencing during your basic exam. What is also cool about this is that we will give you a discount code upon the purchase of our basic study guide towards the purchase of our full advanced study guide, which also includes our human factors book summary. For those of you who like physical books, we do also have a ground school kit that we recommend students purchasing when they come to our in-person course, available for purchase on sugutools.com or below in our link description. Nevertheless, the 5 reference documents will be a part of the links that you should have open during the exam, which can all be found in our link description. Another cool thing we thought we would share is the rules around BVLOS. Transport Canada advises there will be future exams and testing for this category, but for now and at the time this video was created, SFOCs are required for BVLOS. Now, as I mentioned previously, Transport Canada provides knowledge areas after you pass or fail your exam. Now, hopefully, you haven't tried to do the exam without studying, because you will definitely need preparation if you have not done that. Now, let's talk about those 5 documents I mentioned earlier. Here they are. The Canadian Aviation Regulations, Part 9 series. This is the reference document where you will see references like 901.01, 901.03, etc. The 900 series regulations focuses on rules around drones specifically. There is a lot of lawyer jargon in here, which may seem confusing. Not to worry, we make sense of it all. Next is the Aeronautical Information Manual. The AIM is a guide Transport Canada uses to translate their general CARS into plain English. It is also a great document to reference, so keep your eyes peeled for future iterations of this document. I would like to mention we have our own plain English translation, which focuses specifically on the Part 9 regulations that is ready for you to utilize, so visit our link description. Next is the Transport Canada Knowledge Requirements, or the TP 15263. When you open this document, you're going to see check marks and columns. Basically, it's a document which will ask you to describe, recall, state, explain, and identify. All of these areas are essential when you are studying for the Transport Canada Basic Exam. This is also a great guide to use for your advanced exam. It deals with the knowledge requirements to pass the exam. This document has a lot of tips of where to find the information and what to study. This document should be seen as a reference manual to prepare for your exam. The next document you should be utilizing is the NAV Canada Aviation Weather Service Guide. The Weather Service Guide will allow you to answer basic examination questions about weather. The fifth document to possess is the Human Factors Small Basic Handbook. Furthermore, when you take the exam, be sure to have these documents open in separate page tabs so you can easily search them when required. Now, as we proceed through this lesson, we will spend some focused time on the knowledge areas that we just discussed. To recap the documents, you should open in the exam are the Canadian Aviation Regulations Part 9 series. The second document is the CARS General, which references all the Canadian Aviation Regulations 100 up. The third document deals with the knowledge requirements to pass, and the fourth is the NAV Canada Weather Guide. A fifth document to have open is the Small Basic Handbook for Human Factors. If you have this book, you are in good hands for the Basic Advanced exam. Another government publication a lot of people don't know about is the Air Command Weather Manual for Meteorology. Nevertheless, the books I mentioned are also great assets for you to later tackle your advanced exam. As mentioned earlier, 50% of the exam is in regard to general aviation regulations, and mostly doesn't have anything to do with drones. So be prepared to write a test that will ask you general aviation knowledge and have passive references inserted for RPAS or remotely piloted autonomous systems in the questions. Now, one thing we do suggest is combining all these documents in one simple document, essentially combining all files into one PDF referenceable document. That way you don't have 5 tabs open. A good way to do this is with a simple PDF editor and input your document to make it a long combined version with these 5 references. Now, let's go through basics and fundamentals about droning in Canada, or flying remotely piloted autonomous systems to be exact. Now, there are 3 distinct categories. For one, your drone has to be between 250 grams to up to including 25 kilograms. Your drone has to be marked and registered under this category. Now we have some people who ask about what happens if they have a drone that is 250 grams and below. Well, that's considered a micro drone, and you have to keep it away from people and away from aircraft. But a perfect place to fly these micro drones are indoors. Now, if you're over 25 kilos, you will require an SFOC. The only other time you will need an SFOC is for advertised events or beyond visual line of sight. As we speak, Transport Canada is creating testing standards for BVLOS, so stay tuned for a BVLOS exam. For now, you require an SFOC. Now, a fine point we would like to make about drones are they include radio-controlled aircrafts. Now, RC aircraft you cannot fly in controlled airspace. Your drone has to meet the minimum applicable Transport Canada safety assurance. There are over 137 drone variants and counting on the Transport Canada's website, and roughly 55 different manufacturers. This number may actually increase. Now, there's a good chance after you complete this exam, you're going to want to do your advanced certification. Over 3/4 of our students make the move into the advanced category as they want open access to the market. Now, when we're talking about advanced operations, there are 3 categories to dive into, and that's in our next module. For the advanced, you must be 16 years old. You must also pass an in-person flight review from a person delegated by the government to perform them, i.e., a flight reviewer. In discussing the basic, you have to be a minimum of 30 meters from people at a lateral distance, and additionally, have to be a minimum of 14 to fly. In regards to proximity to airports, you must be at least 5.6 kilometers or 3 nautical miles from airports, or 1 nautical mile or 1.9 kilometers from heliports. Now, this is very important to know this because you will save a lot of money just by getting certified. Don't try to break the law and think if you do it just this one time, no one will catch me. Our app, Sugu Pilot, will assist with airspace identification and has many other packed features. Be sure to check out the link description below or the digital download sections of Sugu tools. Additionally, our app is great to utilize in your flight review once you progress to your advanced certification. There are a lot of features you will find useful as a basic operator pilot, and it is available for a low nominal fee. Minimum fines from Transport Canada include for individuals $3,000 for putting aircraft and people at risk, up to $1,000 for flying where you are not allowed, and up to $1,000 for flying without a drone pilot certificate. Trust me, it actually pays to get certified. Now, a lot of people ask if they just sign up to MACC, do they have to get a basic or advanced certification? Now, the MACC exemption only allows you to fly at MACC sanctioned sites. Now, there are specific circumstances in MACC's exemption, such as paragraph 14b, where you can operate outside of MACC sanctioned fields. But you first have to go through the process of setting up a field. Keyword is field, not site. You will also need to prove you would not be operating in reckless or negligent manner. Thus, if you're seeking to operate in the advanced operations category with a MACC exemption, category B or C, the MACC rules were not designed for this. Plainly put, the MACC exemption was designed for the recreational operator or the weekend warrior. Anywhere that is classified outside of your setup field or sanctioned site is basic or advanced operations. Which leads me into my next point. If you fly within 61 meters of a building, you can fly as high as 30 meters or 100 feet over top a building. Another thing you should know is you need to be personally safe for flight. A good way to do this is use the I am safe checklist. All of these are contributing elements or human factors as to why a pilot cannot or should not perform his or her duties. It is very important that you understand this. Now, the alcohol rule is 12 hours bottle to throttle, which means no drinking 12 hours before your flight. Alcohol seems to come up a lot in the exam, so be prepared to answer. Now, in further discussing the fundamentals of basic operations, all flights happen in visual line of sight, which means either yourself or your visual observer is aiding you to maintain contact with your drone. A great example of this is you're utilizing FPV systems. Although you can see the drone, or I should say, see what the drone is seeing, someone needs to physically take a look at it externally. Same thing applies if you're flying at night. The only difference is your drone has to have the required lighting at that point. So, you need to delegate who your visual observer is before you fly your drone. A lot of operations will have both spotters and visual observers depending on the complexity. In recapping the flight conditions for basic operations, you need to be a minimum of 14 years of age to write the exam and stay 30 meters away from people. As mentioned earlier, you cannot fly in controlled airspace in basic operations. However, if you have a small advanced certificate, you can fly in controlled airspace, so as long as your drone meets the minimum level of safety assurance. Now you will need NAV Canada airspace approval, Aerodrome permission, and ATC permission to fly on the day of operations. Also, don't forget about your airspace unlock, depending on your drone manufacturer. There is usually a way to self-unlock a drone depending on the manufacturer's permissions. For instance, DJI allows self-unlock in some controlled airspace instances, but requires a custom unlock when operating near their classified approach triangles near runways. So be aware of this. Know before you fly. This can hamper your operation if you have a major project, and you need pre-planning all potential variables are there which can lead you to be super happy or super unhappy person. Now, there are different categories, such as flight over people. First of all, you need a Category C type drone, as well as an SFOC if it is an advertised event. So, carnivals, parades, marathons, racing or sporting events requires an SFOC. Another rule mentioned earlier is if you fly over a building within 61 meters, you're allowed to be 30 meters above the highest structure. Now, another interesting thing is you're not allowed to directly overfly wildlife in national parks without permission from Parks Canada. The reason behind this is it may cause the animals to hurt themselves. Another thing you need to watch when flying near wildlife is the proximity to geese, or birds tend to regroup around drones. One thing I should mention is check the local bylaws for your local city park. Chances are you cannot fly there. Definitely in national parks, drone flights are prohibited. Another great reference guide for you to get familiar with online is the Designated Airspace Handbook. It provides information on airspace and advisory airspace. Take a second to look at that book. This is something I would have available as you progress to your advanced certification. Lastly, remember as a pilot of a drone, there is a huge responsibility. Mostly, if not all the times during an aviation incident, 9 times out of 10, it's always the pilot's fault. So be cautious and careful when you fly, as you always have the final say if what you're doing is right or wrong. Now, as I shared earlier in our introduction, there are 8 areas you want to pay particular close attention to when you study all the areas mentioned in the knowledge requirements. Now, I will not mention the specific amount of questions you will receive, as Transport Canada is constantly updating and changing this, but be aware that the knowledge areas are air laws, RPAS airframes, power plants, propulsion and systems, human factors, meteorology, navigation, flight operations, theory of flight, and radio telephony. In brief, if you want to make it simple for yourself, get our ground school kit. Everything you need is in there. Or even better, come to our ground school class and you'll get your advanced RPAS certification in 4 days. It is a win-win situation. 25 hours or 4 days of in-class training or 80 hours of self-study. The choice is yours. Or come to our ground school course where we have subject matter experts to get you concentrated training in a quarter of the time. As a reminder, please visit the links in our description for our ground school material. Sugu Pilot can also be found below. In defining our knowledge areas, there will be critical points of study as we go through this video. Please ensure you take the opportunity to dive into each section and make your own notes. A good practice would be to pause this video from time to time and then note down the areas of study. Another suggestion would be to also purchase our ground school slides or study guide in our link description. The rule is dissecting, disseminate, and gather your data. In expanding, you can fill in supplementary notes into your study documentation as you move along. Now, in the exam, there will be a lot of definitions that you will need to memorize, things like aerodromes versus airports. Both deal with area, which allows the capability for aircraft to take off and land. The key thing here is an airport can be aerodrome, but not all aerodromes can be airports. Other definitions or terms include types of airspace, and additionally, you should know the rules around right-of-way hierarchy. Essentially, manned aircraft have right-of-way, and there is a minimum 2-minute wake turbulence separation between aircraft taking off. So let's clearly define what's in each section. I have referenced each knowledge area that you can understand in advance of the exam. The key thing is you should try to internalize or commit some of these items to memory before writing the exam. If you aren't going to pre-read your material, expect this to reflect in your scores and results. Although the exam is open book, you should know where to pull the information from. As mentioned earlier, a lot of the material on the Transport Canada exam has very little to do with drones. Nevertheless, let's classify what will be in the air law segment. I would like to advise in the top right corner of my presentation, the percentage of questions you may get in the exam per knowledge area will appear. For air law, that number is 40%. Now, I haven't listed the exact number of questions for the knowledge area, as the numbers can change based on how Transport Canada wants to weigh each question. Nevertheless, my percentage will offer you a glimpse of what to expect. So, one of the main things in the air law knowledge area is you need to know what is an RPA, or remotely piloted aircraft. Means a navigable aircraft other than a balloon. Keyword, rocket or kite, that is operated by a pilot who is not on board. Now, for the Transport Canada exam, or the small advanced certificate, it focuses on the RPA of 250 grams, but no more than 25 kilograms. Now, these weight conditions also factor in maximum takeoff of weight, or MTOW. Then, as mentioned above, you need to understand aviation terminology such as aerodromes, heliports, airports. I have highlighted on this page the areas you can find references to these terms. Now, let's talk about our reference books a bit more. You will need to use the AIM and CARS while studying. Furthermore, you'll need to know the VLOS rules and additionally, how close you can get to airports. Essentially, 5.6 kilometers from airports and 1.9 kilometers from heliports. You'll need to know when, how, and where your drone should be registered. Additionally, you'll need to know time limitations from flying in Class F airspace, which is a minimum 24 hours or a maximum of 30 days. You should also know the rules around flying emergency areas, i.e. forest fires or catastrophic scenarios. In any situation, I wouldn't get near, even as a passerby. If you see someone flying their drone in this type of situation, chances are they are with search and rescue or a fire brigade, so beware. In addition, for advertised events, you need an SFOC, so don't deploy your drone if you do not have permission from Transport Canada. Anything from baseball games or events which are pre-planned with advertisement, these are the ones you want to be conscious of. Other things you should be aware are flying your RPAS with living animals. CARS 901.22 states, no pilot shall operate a remotely piloted aircraft that transports or carries on board a living creature. This means you can't take up your pet dog for a ride on your M600 and see how he fares. This is not a good idea. Furthermore, be aware of the rules around flammables and explosives. You need an SFOC. Plainly put, if you are seeking to conduct these activities, you need special permission and chances are you will be denied. Another area you should be aware of is how and when to report incidents versus accidents. Both of these are directed to the Transportation Safety Board of Canada and need to be submitted as soon as possible. Additional restrictions with flying your drone are centered around 901.37 and 901.38. Essentially, you cannot be in command of a drone while in operation of a vessel. Furthermore, you cannot utilize a first-person view device unless, at all times during flight, a visual observer performs the detect and avoid functions. Another tidbit of info I thought to include are the rules around migratory birds. The law states that you cannot operate an aircraft if participating in hunting. Additionally, the CARS also states you need adequate lighting at night to fly your drone. One thing I suggest for this exam is know your CARS inside and out. So that means know your Canadian aviation regulations backwards, sideways, up, and down. You must read things and try not to leave ambiguity in your questions. There will be questions in the exam that will be asked in a reversed direction, so be prepared. So if you're a straightforward type of guy or gal, this is not a straightforward exam. Furthermore, remember your drone is an aircraft and needs to be treated as such. So, in reiterating this section, it covers air law, air traffic rules, and procedures. In regard to air traffic patterns, most aircraft have to join the mid-down where they enter the circuit pattern at an airport. Why do you have to know this? Well, the main reason is you need to know what the established procedure is for uncontrolled airport. There is a new fabulous tool made by the National Research Council, and it is called the Drone Site Selection Tool. It gives a glimpse of these established patterns, basically the ones that look like a hockey stick head. Those are essentially the uncontrolled airports or aerodromes where the established procedure is being shown. Furthermore, if you click on each shape, it states if you're in basic or advanced operations. So know your category of airspace and don't just pick up your drone and fly. Ignorance is not bliss. So for Knowledge Area 2, it is RPAS airframes and systems. This section covers the physical elements of your drone. Approximately 5% of questions on the exam will be about this section. You will need to know the obligations as pilot of what to bring during normal operations, things such as accessing operating manuals and instruction manuals, all provided by the manufacturer. Additional items you should know are the difference between brushed and brushless motors, aircraft parts and components. The distinction is you should firmly understand parts of a fixed wing drone as well as a helicopter. Furthermore, you need to know the rules around the transportation of dangerous goods. Generally, special handling protocols are required, but additional information can be found on CATSA's webpage. You should also be ready to answer the nominal temperature for ideal drone motor operations and when they overheat. You should be ready to address what an altimeter is, compass, airspeed indicator, inertial measurement unit, and the effect of GPS errors. One great book you should read over is called Optimizing Small Multi-Rotor Unmanned Aircraft by Stephen D. Pryor. This is definitely a great read if you're getting into the RPAS world. The book is available free online. In addition, a secondary book to take a look at is called Unmanned. This book is available for purchase via sugutools.com as a standalone, or you can purchase it with our ground school kit. We recommend you obtaining the kit if you seek to progress to your advanced certification. I would like to mention again that our study guide is available for purchase for a small nominal fee. It's a great resource if you're looking for an all-encompassing source of information. Lastly, another tool which is available is Google. Google is great if there is a particular question you do not know the answer and you want final verification. Now, on to Knowledge Area 3. Human factors. Expect 6% of your questions to come from this section. Understand the rules of alcohol and drugs. Essentially, it is 12 hours bottle to throttle, which means you cannot fly after less than 12 hours of your last drink. So learn 901.19 and rules around your capability and/or fitness to fly. You should also be aware of scanning techniques that both pilots and visual observers should be aware of, such as sector scans or diverting your gaze 15 degrees at night for better visual acuity. Now, the prime source of the information from this section comes from the Aeronautical Information Manual, as well as the Human Factors Small Basic Handbook for the TP1263. This book is also available for purchase on sugutools.com. You will definitely need it for your advanced certification. Nevertheless, other areas to cover are the rules around hypoxia and fatigue. Funnily enough, you may get a question on your exam about decompression dives, so know how they apply to an RPAS pilot. Key thing is when you fly in a commercial aircraft, they are pressurized. Other areas to look into are the illusions around distant aircraft when smoke, fog, or haze is introduced. You need to understand if an aircraft is flying towards you or away from you. So, for this particular section, I would rely on your study guide information as well as information provided by the Small Basic Handbook. You should also be ready to open Google if you have not done pre-reading in the suggested sections. Next is Knowledge Area number 4, Meteorology. In this section, expect 6% of questions in the exam to be focused on this section. Now, you should expect questions on cloud types, icing, the impact of temperature, wind, and precipitation in flight. You should also know how visibility is affected by whiteout conditions or fog or snow. As an explanation, weather is one of the most important elements you should understand as a drone pilot. For instance, knowing cloud types will allow you to know if there is an approaching warm front or the eventuality of rain. In addition to this, cloud types can allow you to see if there will be a thunderstorm or if the day's weather is stable or unstable. It's great to understand the inner workings of weather because if you ever get in an area with zero cellular networks or communication, you will need to decipher these things on your own. In further expanding on our weather topics above, you're not allowed to fly with any ice or snow on your drone. This will increase drag and decrease lift on your lifting surfaces. A great area to investigate icing is the GFA, or Graphical Forecasted Area Chart. For this section, you mainly need to study our guide, which is available for a small nominal fee below in our link description, or buy the Air Command Weather Manual, or the TP9352 available on sugutools.com. As a reminder, the basic exam is a great opportunity to time yourself for your advanced exam. In the basic exam, you're given roughly 3 minutes, the amount of time to answer each individual question. For comparison, in the basic exam, you get 2 minutes and 57 seconds per question. And in the advanced exam, you get 1 minute and 12 seconds per question. The key thing is practice your timing and don't hesitate. You need to answer as soon as possible. The more time you have to review, the better. So when you're on question 35, don't hit submit. Use the rest of your time and double check your answers. There is no rush. Knowledge Area 5 is navigation. Approximately 11% of questions from your exam will come from this. There are a lot of unusual questions that will be asked in this section, but it is important to know things like understanding the planetary K-index or the KP factors tables. Understanding the errors in latitude with DGPS are important. Since we're talking about errors, you will need to know information about sources of RF interference between your drone and GPS. Additionally, you will get questions based on site surveys 901.27 and 901.33 and what needs to be done. You will need to know the symbols on a VFR navigational chart and terminal area charts. It's also good to know that there are 7 terminal area charts across Canada, and they are meant to be used for congested airspace. Be aware of obstacles and symbols like cell towers, restricted airspace, advisory airspace, blast zones, and airports. You will need to know the scales on each map. You will also need to know how to read latitude and longitude and know information such as there are 15 degrees in every time zone. One interesting thing on the exam is they may ask you to measure the distance between airports and the approximate direction. So just remember, 1 degree of latitude represents 1 nautical mile. Lastly, you'll also need to know how to calculate Greenwich Mean Time, UTC, or Zulu. They are all the same thing. Essentially, what time it is in the United Kingdom. You may also get questions on time zone conversion or how many degrees in a time zone. So just remember, there are 360 degrees of longitude, 24 hours in a day, and 15 degrees in each time zone. You may also get questions on the errors of compass in relation to different surfaces on an aircraft. So make sure to study this section thoroughly. If you don't understand any questions in this segment, remember Googling is certainly a good friend and a great backup resource. Next is knowledge area number 6, flight operations. This area covers all the rudimentary things about flying your drone, such as the administrative items. You will find 14% of examination questions coming from this section. Now, Transport Canada used to have a beautiful area for all these things in terms of requirements of what you need and how our procedures should look like. Essentially, they were the old staffing instructions. Thankfully, we have saved all these amazing items just for you. Another key item that comes up on the exam is that the pilot has the final say. He is always the first one to be blamed and last one to be commended. Additionally, they're always in control. So, in regards to CRM or crew resource management in a 2-crew environment, i.e. pilot and visual observer, the pilot is in charge. You'll need to know the definition of pilot and visual observer. Another interesting question that comes up on the exam is the operations of vessel or vehicle. The pilot cannot be the one operating it when flying. This section also covers emergency and normal procedures. It is important you know the difference and have written procedures, pre-flight procedures, prior to your flight as described in 901.23. Rules around checklists are also located 901.24 and 28. This also covers your requirement for access to operations. Remember, you will need the manual that is in relation to your drone. You will also need the ease of access to these manuals. That's a number 1. So let's discuss 901.48 rules, record-keeping requirements. You will need to keep your drone up to date. So things such as modifications, rectifications, records, changing engine propellers, and who flew on it last, including dates and times, are important. Now, 901.48 covers the items you need to study, so make sure to review. Additionally, make sure to also look into our study guide. Now, for knowledge area number 7, approximately 6% of your questions come from here, and the standpoint of drone, I feel this is the most important one. You need to know axis of an aircraft, stability, parts of airframe, which contribute to lift. Additionally, a key element in this whole section is Bernoulli's principle, which helps describe why aircrafts fly and produce lift. For this section, I would strongly suggest focusing on our study guide as it covers all the essential items. Additionally, you should know how drag and the center of gravity, turbulence, laminar flow, the boundary layer, and how they react in differing circumstances. Additionally, study your aviation terms, such as what the intrados and extrados of a wing is. Know what downwash is, and additionally understand where the transition point in airfoils does and what happens after it separates from the wing. If you find something not in our study guide, Google is a great tool. Lastly, we're finally here at knowledge area number 8, radio telephony. Approximately 12% of questions in the exam come from here. Now, you will probably never need to use a ROCA radio in the basic operations category, but if you're in the basic operation category, operating near aerodromes, you will need at least a radio scanner. These scanners can be found in the link. Eventually, when you progress to the advanced category, you can either upgrade to a transceiver, but at that point, you'll need an ROCA radio license. So our suggestion is to obtain at least a scanner for basic operations, especially if you're in the vicinity of aerodromes. Nevertheless, in expanding this particular knowledge area, we also suggest you also purchase our study guide. So the things you're supposed to know are aviation radio frequencies, which is also defined in the AIM. Now, other things you should focus on are the fines associated with radio communications, the difference between an urgency or distress call, your phonetic alphabet, know the definition of frequency, know the difference between signal strength and readability. Additional elements you must know are what you do when you're flying over an airport and you lost communication. Additional elements you must know are what do you do when an aviation incident or accident happens. To expand, if you utilize the AIM, the ROCA study guide, and our study guide, you will be fully prepared for your exam. So, in summarizing all the knowledge areas, we have provided 2 ways of studying: link-based or physical book-based studying. For air law, you will need the AIM, Part 9 series, CARS, and General Air Law 100 and up, and our study guide. For book-based studying, the following will help you: our ground school slides and the AIM. For RPAS airframes and systems, for electronic links, use our study guide, the Part 9 series regulations, and Google. For books, you can obtain Optimizing Small Multi-Rotor Unmanned Aircraft by Stephen D. Pryor, the Unmanned booklet. For human factors electronic links, utilize our human factor summary available in our link description for a small nominal fee. Additionally, the AIM is a great reference. For books, you can purchase the Human Factors booklet available at sugutools.com. The AIM is also a great resource. As an advisory, the AIM can be obtained in electronic or physical form. For meteorology, great links to utilize are Sugu's study guide, the AIM, and the NAV Canada Aviation Weather Service Guide. For physical books, it is great to use the Air Command Weather Manual or the Unmanned booklet. For navigation, for electronic links, refer to the Part 9 series CARS, the AIM, and our study guide. For a physical book, it's great to use the Unmanned booklet. For flight operations, please utilize our study guide and the combined reference guide, which entails the old staffing instructions from Transport Canada. For theory of flight, electronic links, utilize the Sugu study guide and NASA's Theory of Flight guide, available via Googling NASA Theory of Flight. A great physical book to utilize is the Unmanned booklet. As a reminder for all knowledge areas, if something does not make any sense, please utilize Google as a fact checker. Last but not least, for the radio section of the ROCA study guide, the AIM, and our Sugu sides, remember to like and hit the subscribe bell, as we want you to look out for our supplementary videos on air law, RPAS airframes and systems, human factors, flight operations, meteorology, navigation, theory of flight, radio telephony, and videos on Sugu Pilot. We will also have other cool videos about drone industry uses, practical application, and updates from our team. As a reminder, the video on our channel offer a short preview of what we have to offer in our online training and our in-person training classes. It is important that you take the time to understand definitions, read through the Transport Canada references, understand the definitions, and don't forget to purchase our Sugu study guide for a small nominal fee. We strongly recommend that you complete your basic certification before proceeding to your advanced certification. This will definitely help you. Lastly, if you're looking at purchasing a drone, picking up a logbook, and obtaining specialized drone tools or equipment, visit sugutools.com. If you will be obtaining a drone, please direct your inquiries to our live chat agent or customer care at sugu.ca. Please be advised, if you do attend our 4-day in-person accelerated ground school, you can also receive up to 50% off our classes if you purchase a drone from us. Please ask us about inventory, availability, and stocking. I would also like to add we have many other specialty courses on remote sensing, public safety, and drone STEM. So that's everything, folks. I was excited to be your guide in navigating through the Transport Canada's basic RPAS regulations. That was the breakdown of how Transport Canada will ask you their questions. Feel free to watch this video as many times as you need to build your confidence for the basic examination. If you are interested in registering for our advanced certification course, please call 1-888-359-7848 or email customercare@sugu.ca. We do recommend for you to watch our Advanced Operations Study Guide video prior to coming to our class located in our channel. Furthermore, we do offer additional educational courses located at sugudrones.com. These courses include online advanced prep, remote sensing, public safety, and more. As a reminder, if you will be flying in the basic or advanced categories, our application, Sugu Pilot, is a great assistive tool for compliance, creating automated surveys and manual flights. Additionally, we have links located in our app, which also directs you to our YouTube channel for up-to-date tips on knowledge areas. As an advisory, if you wish to attend any of our ground school or scheduled courses, please visit sugudrones.com. Remember to click that subscribe bell. Or for more in-depth conversations about the regulations, join CanadianDronePilots.ca. There's a lot of great folks on there. Thank you.
Sugu, a safer future with technology.
Be sure to like and subscribe.